Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly asked the questions on Blakey's boot room. Will always be blue.
Good afternoon. Welcome once again to Blakey's Boot Room here on Wales Online. Nathan and Steve in their usual positions, flicking through the South Wales Echo, ignoring me. As
Any excuse to ignore you, Dolly.
Charming. Yes. Here we are then, another weekend. A win for Cardiff City, a home win. A good job they got that one. I think if they hadn't won, it would have been their worst winless home run for 25 years.
Was that true?
I think it was. Yeah,
was it?
I think we
worst run result since the war
last week. But a great win, and given what we were talking about last week, the whole style versus results debate that almost caused.
I don't remember anything about. I don't remember anything of that now.
But do we call this a Steve Tucker style victory, Blakey?
Just ask Tux what he said to me on Saturday.
Why?
What did you say to Blakey on Saturday?
Get him in, it's your round. Yeah, I can't pay any more beers. Well, honestly, half time, anyone who was there, I mean, once they were awoken from their coma by a message from Bono or something being recorded
What did you say to me?
It's dull to watch, boring, because it was very dull, very boring. But second half, a little bit of change of personnel, more through good fortune than kind of, good management. And, a different side. Crowd of 21,000 or whatever it was, on their feet. And
we'll come on to that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll do that in a minute. I mean, it's still not scintillating. And I've got to add, I don't want to be a bit of a downer, but Birmingham, really? Was that the worst team anyone's seen at Cardiff, this season?
I think where they were to where they are, it's just about survival.
Oh no, I'm not. But they look. I mean, if people are saying Cardiff have got nothing to play for, they look like, well, we've done it now. We've stayed up.
Yeah.
Blah,
They've
blah.
been
They were very much
with their owner and what have you. That situation.
Fancy that.
How can they be like? I'd hate that. I would hate that in turmoil with their owner.
No, but they've not been out they've been under transfer embargoes and all sorts of things. So
I remember.
They've had their.
I remember those.
So they've been struggling. So,
No, they were poor though. And
they were poor.
But Cardiff
I felt a bit sorry for the manager. I felt that was. Referees, they do your head in. Everyone says, "Oh, let's protect them, let's look after them, let's help them." Some of the decisions I've seen this season. I've seen one decision where. I think it was Spurs, where the lad was inside his own half, and the linesman referee gave him offside, saying there wasn't two men back. And I was like, a 6-year-old knows that rule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I felt a bit sorry for the manager. Showed a bit of petulance, slamming the ball down and what have you. But it was his ball. We seen that from where we were sat. It was their ball. But then to send him to the stands for throwing a ball down, I'm just like. This game it's madness. You say passion, we want to see passion from our managers. You stand there, don't say anything. A little bit of, I said, petulance. Showing a bit of passion, blowing off a bit of steam, and he gets sent to the stand.
My pet hate with officials, or on about officials, is offside, linesman getting them. I always think linesman. What if it's his one thing? That's his thing.
Yeah.
I can understand referees. They got people going here, there, everywhere. They got all these, maybe. But a linesman, apart from a throw in when it bounces off someone's leg, or it's that throw. Yeah. All they're doing, the big thing they're doing is looking down the line. And how do they get those wrong?
Look how close the linesman was to the decision that got the manager sent off.
Oh God, yeah.
We could see it was Birmingham ball from where we were.
I was sleeping then, but I was asleep then. Yeah. Just nodded off.
Yeah. What about we headlined the show off then on
we headline the show, do we? We have headline.
I do it myself.
Anyway,
a headline what I
enough
wrote.
about me.
Like
Let's
John-
talk about me.
Headline
Dolly's taking over this show, don't you?
Yeah.
I feel he's...
Does Russell Slade deserve more credit, and then what's happened to the fans, the atmosphere? We'll come on to that in a bit. Let's deal with that, because you just made a throwaway comment. More by fortune than good management, you said. We've got this comment from Paul saying, still want Slade gone. He's unlucky we've had a few injuries, or he wouldn't have changed anything. He's clueless. He says, and just looking at the results, 2-0 against Birmingham. They drew at home with Bournemouth last game, top of the table.
Yeah.
Bournemouth away win at Brentford. They've had a great season. 3-1 at Rotherham. Only lost one in the last 5.
Yeah.
And still, people like you, people like Paul, the man in the street, they just don't want to give him credit. Is that fair?
I think there is, definitely. I think it all stems from when he first came. From that moment, I talked about it at the time, didn't I call it kind of snobbery, didn't it? When it was like, who's coming in? Russell who? What, from Orient? What's that all about? There was that kind of incredulity to it. And I think, it's like we said earlier, if this was, oh God, who everybody wanted, is at West Brom now, Pulis. If this was Pulis had come in and was achieving these results, people would be going, he's turned him around, this great everything. Slade, because he's comes from a low position, I still think people are really loath to give him any credit at all. Because if you notice now, it's Trollope who's done it, who's affected the change. This upturn actually coincides with Paul Trollope coming in.
Doug says here, is the recent upturn due to the new head coach? It appears it could be.
Right, exactly, and that's a perception that people have. So I don't know what it is with Slade. I
Is
agree.
it a reality though?
It doesn't make much sense.
Is that the truth?
Because generally, does he not come across as a likeable bloke as well?
Well, he's lovely. He's an avuncular figure, I think you describe him as. Pardon
That's
my
a word that is every day.
But he's a lovely guy. I'm going to look at that. But I just think people don't. He's still not won over a lot of hearts and minds, and there's people who are still loath to give him any credit. And I don't want to come too close to the row of last week, but
Was it a row?
All right, the frank exchange of views of last week.
I beat you up. Huh?
I'm still aching after that arm wrestles. There's still a perception, or there's still an understandable perception, that the football's rubbish. That they're still, they're winning a bit more, but the football's. I know, I don't want even to talk about it. But
first half Saturday was a pause.
that first half,
It was hard to watch.
neither keeper had to save, do anything. It was awful. But
Alex here says, awful game, 2 poor sides battling it out for mid-table mediocrity. It will take a lot more than that for the fans to start siding with Slade.
And I said to Tux on the weekend, I said, football fans.
You make it sound like we live together.
Yeah, I know.
we were going to bed one evening and put on our like Morecambe and Wise, putting our pyjamas on before going to bed.
Yeah, so just before we had our brandy Saturday night, I said,
and cigar. another good show.
I've lost my train of thought. What was the question you said? I'll pick it up straight away. This fool.
I think Alex's comment, we just said, but awful game, it'll take a lot more than that.
I was saying, with the fans, with the football fan, listen, football fans will take so much rubbish and so much madness and so much, they'll go on, and for you to alienate a football fan for him not to come back.
Well, this is what you're saying in your column today,
Takes a lot, mate.
Worth reading again.
Yeah, takes a lot, and that's why I say, like, for City fans now who are staying away, the club's only got itself to blame. Do you know what I mean? I don't think you can look at the fan and go, it's as simple as, just come back, forget about it. We're back in blue, and they alienate them so long that in the end, once they walk, it is difficult to get them back.
Is there still a sizable majority like that, though, Blake? I mean, I can
Unhappy.
Yeah.
If
I had to look, I can understand the football, the rubbish football, but no, look at Saturday. For me, the factors are non-entertaining football, which I agree with Blake. I mean, a lot of people don't want that. Nothing to play for, and the rugby on as well, everyone getting excited about that.
Yeah.
I mean, in your column, I was reading your column, you sort of suggest that you think there's still quite a large group of stayaways who are just
I don't think it's just
a
large group of stayaways. I think there's a large group of fans who are unhappy with a lot of things that have happened over the last 2 or 3 seasons. And I think what I think what the club done was take them for granted. I think it just thought we can do what we want. And the
suckers all come.
The throwaway comment stays in my mind is they're customers. Yeah, customers, fans who pay money, who, you know, would die for the club. Really, would you know, they bleed blue. Whatever club they follow, fans, they're so loyal. Do you know what I mean? And I've witnessed that firsthand. Like we spoke about it on this show when I was playing for Blackburn. They came to the West Brom game. You know, those things are just, for me, outside of the norm of any other sport, really.
But Blakey, if there is this group, okay, there's this group that's disillusioned still. What are they waiting for?
I think they're waiting
because they got the blue back, they got the new badge, which everyone's saying, oh, it's a big improvement.
Yeah,
so I'm not quite sure what are they waiting to happen?
Well,
a formal apology or
if I said to you, if I said to you, what is the current direction of the club at Cardiff? Let's have a look at it, right? You've got the academy, yeah. They were once noted as the best academy in Wales. Now I don't think they've got that tag, you know, from what I hear on the street. There's other academies who they're falling behind academies anyway, right? So you look at that issue, then you look at the off-the-field issues, then you look at the first team. Whether you like it or not, the manager is the manager. People weren't engrossed by that signing. They weren't, you know, excited about it. The style of football over the last couple of months hasn't gone where you can say, well, you can see what's happening. You know, like, let me use an analogy of David Moyes and Louis van Gaal at Man United. I think under David Moyes, people couldn't see the plan or the way forward, yeah? But you know the structure of the club and how it works. But when Van Gaal come in, they kind of get, you can see what he's trying to do. You know what I mean? He's not guessing. He's almost putting systems together to try and find the formula, which is a winning formula. And you can see it, you know what I mean? You can see it happening on the pitch. And I think at Cardiff, that is something that people don't see, how the club, and also if you look at the structure of the club, they're not looking and going, well, we know the direction, we know, listen, we all want Premiership football. It's how you get there. You can't just say, I want Premier League football. Here's 100 million, buy your way to the top. It might work.
Well, you can do that.
It might work. It might work, but is it sustainable? Is it a long-term plan? And for me, it isn't.
I think Cardiff
it's proved.
Not, yeah.
Right. So I think it's been proved that it's not a long-term plan. So I think, and what doesn't also help is that the boys down the road have got such a good structure, and you can see them. You know, they're going to beat their points record this season again from last. So you're just thinking there's a positive story coming out of there. Every season seems to be of progression. And that's all fans want. If you're paying your money into a business and you're a shareholder, you want to see, you know, progression. You want to see the investment grow. You want to see, you know, see your money back maybe in a few years' time, or have something back. But I think for the last 2 or 3, this is Premiership included. Like I said, I don't think that was a season that blew people away. It was, you achieved what you set out to achieve, but it's not a season that you blew anyone away. You know, and I just think that is kind of the underlying issue with fans at the moment. They're not looking and seeing a club that's directing and letting them know where they go. Because don't forget, like, you look at the situation previous under Ridsdale, people didn't know what was going on. Things were said that didn't come to fruition, and you know, you had the season ticket debacle, and then it went on players and stuff like that. And then prior to that, you had Sam Aman. People thought Sam was great, and then lo and behold, things turn out not to be so great. And do you know what I mean? So I just feel like they've never had, I can't remember, where they've had a straight up honest guy leading the club saying, I'm doing the best for this club. Yeah. And I think, you know, they're entitled to that.
Well, you can, I mean, you could say that Vincent Tan, he's a straight up honest guy who made his intentions clear. people just didn't like those intentions, you know, with the rebrand and all that.
They just went against the historical nature of the club.
Which is his decision.
People.
No, it alienates people. I'm not saying. On the pitch, though, I mean, touching on what Blakey said there's been no sense of direction since Mackay, is there? In particular, Mackay's promotion season. I mean, this was part of our, to come back to it again, a bit of a difference in how they got up. What you can't argue against is that Mackay on the pitch was like bang, 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 this is how we're setting up, this is it, we get this guy in, he's coming in, he's going to go, so whether you liked it or not, you looked at him like, I know where we're going. Since Mackay, Solskjaer is an absolute joke. And at
it's
the moment,
funny though, isn't it?
Slade is at the moment. I mean, I describe very much as a mixed bag.
A lot more experience than Solskjaer, but Solskjaer was probably given a lot more time, and people are much happier with that signing than they were with Slade.
Yeah, well, people like a name.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Like a name.
It's madness.
I think Slade is just simply seen as a League One manager, and at the moment.
Do you think
he's not disproving it in a way?
That's the
because
problem,
let's don't want to be too blunt, but you could argue that that team do really well in the top half of League One, but I don't know if I don't know if it's up to it's definitely not. It's proving not to be up to the rigours of the top half of the Championship. That's for certain.
So what
right
we're
now,
is as things stand for the rest of the season, the atmosphere isn't going to improve. There's nothing they can do, because Cardiff would say, I mean, they've done this big fan survey, they've directly gone to the fans, in the wake of going back to Blue, and said, how can we improve the match day experience? So from their point of view, they are doing off the field things, but at the end of the day, it's
funny, isn't it?
It's all about mid-table.
Cardiff saying, going to the fans, it's like I just said to you, remember your mum used to say it's too little, too late?
Yeah, well, what more can they do, though? What more can they do?
Well, first of all, people weren't shouting from the rooftops, you're going the wrong way about the things that you're doing, because they simply didn't like the owner or the chairman or the manager or anything like that. It was just people who know football were saying this because it was true. And you're kind of like closing the gate, and the horse is like, 20 furlongs away. Do you know what I mean? And it once you've got it out of the back, it's hard. Once you say or do something, it's hard to then take it back and put it back in the box. People are running with the situation that is what it is at the moment, and once you stop the blue issue and the bad issue, people were always then going to scrutinise the football. At the time, the football was getting away with it because it was getting partially scrutinised. We had other off-the-field activities which were, deflecting a lot of the anger or frustration or whatever. But soon as those situations were put to bed, as in the badge and the colour, then, reflection on the team all of a sudden, and, people don't... It's not great.
You can do whatever you want down there. You can have clowns and jugglers and unicyclists and mime artists and everybody having a jamboree, but if the football on the pitch is not of the quality that people want to see, then people aren't going to turn up.
Not to start last week's argument up again, but obviously looking at next season.
What is it with last season?
Slade starts off similar veins, similar football, but good results. 2-3 months into the season, they're right up there at the top. Do the fans,
next season?
Do the fans come back then, do you think?
I think so. This is going back to the row we had last week. I don't want to get deja vu all over again. He's not guiding it with skill. The guy's making it up as he goes along. What do you want me to say about it? I mean, in the sense that, personally, I think the start of next season, if Cardiff, I said it last week, if Cardiff have a run, if Leicester come down or somebody like that drops down and Cardiff do them on the first home game or something, 2-1, and I think the buzz will be back. And I agree with Blakey, that would be brilliant if the football was like, whoa. But I don't think that necessarily has to be in place for for the buzz not to return. I think if they start winning a few on the trot, 4, 5, 6 games in, a draw away at so-and-so, they're up there, third, fourth. No, crikey, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying for a minute they're going to do that, by the way. I'm just speaking totally hypothetically and suggesting if that were to happen, I think the buzz would be back because we know what fans are like. They thrive on success.
I think that's being a bit unfair to the fans. I do. I don't think it's that straightforward. Okay. I think a lot of water's gone under the bridge, and there's going to be a lot more than 5 or 6 results that's going to take a lot of the fans who are staying away to come back.
You start casting around and looking at these guys then, whoever, or women or whoever they are. They got the blue shirt back. They got the new so they're so disillusioned. I'm only being devil's advocate. Really, what are they waiting for? Like someone to come round their house?
Okay,
and
is it too much?
Is
it too? No.
Are they waiting for Vincent Tan to go?
No. Is it too much to ask for a club which has an owner and a board of directors, which not week in week out, but lets the fans know, right? This is the direction we're taking. This is the philosophy of our...
Which other club does that, though? Why should Cardiff... How often do you see Leeds have announced, well, this season we're going to... It doesn't happen.
Well, no, but it does. You kind of... What I'm trying to say is they don't have to give you ins and outs, but a good club will always control its fans and its expectations. A good club will. It will. You'll always get a group who are going to run away this way or with a positive and go overboard, or ones that are going to go negative and everything's a nightmare. But a good club, a good structured club, it will, just by the statements it releases, what it talks about, whether the development of certain players, managers, pre-season,
Cardiff don't need to announce that. We know
No.
We've seen it. The Cot no longer shopping at Harrods. Lee Peltier from Huddersfield. Stuart We know what the future holds.
No, but even when
their statement is in what's happening now.
No, because even when they had even when they were spending money, people didn't know what they were doing. Did you? Right.
But you know me. I don't know what's going on.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So it seemed to be so like pie in the sky.
Hey, when they were winning lots of games, people weren't so worried about their philosophy and their move. It was all like, we're winning. Under Malky, the promotions here. No one was going, winning away at Middlesbrough. I think we need a statement of the ambitions at this club.
No, because I think you knew what
was on the pitch.
You knew what the philosophy was. You knew what the philosophy was. But that's something else I've never agreed with. You don't have the manager's philosophy. You have the club philosophy. Because if you change 3 managers in 1 year or 2 years, like we've done, you've got 3 different philosophies of football.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And that is where they who must not be mentioned down the M4, perhaps on the boot, we have a swear box if you say it, have thrived.
Yeah.
Is in that continuity of the ethos of the club. I totally agree. Being bigger than the individual guy. The guy who comes in is expected to adapt to the ethos of the club rather than, we had it. Mackay's kind of like cautious, you shall not pass that. He goes, Solskjaer comes in. I'm not quite sure what the philosophy was, but it was somehow some like, honestly, we're going to be really good going forward. No, I promise you, actually, no, we're going to get done 4-0 by Hull or something. But yeah, I totally agree with that. But it happens so often, doesn't it? You get this scorched earth policy. And as I said before, this is what worries me about Slade the most, is that he has the summer, quite rightly, they're ending the season well and all that. He's got his plans in place and he's got all his staff now, apparently. Come back next season, 10 games in, they're 18th, he's sacked. Scorched earth policy, another bloke comes in, or maybe, from within this time or whatever.
Brings his own philosophy.
Brings his thing.
Different
I have to get through to January, I need some guy. Next minute, we're sitting on the boot room going, there's another season gone. I'm another year older.
Yeah.
Still hot.
Hence why I say you're better having your own club philosophy rather than having the managers.
But it's all a bit late.
Because you can follow a line then, a structure, a strategy. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, in and out. you know, if you
I
have...
think most people would agree, but it's beyond that. Like, who would come up with that philosophy at Cardiff City?
Well, it's like this. It's like this before I get to. Because
but maybe we're seeing the
day,
implementation of that philosophy now under Slade.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of what we're saying. You don't want Slade's philosophy to be implemented in the club. You want the club's philosophy to understand to understand its fans, to understand its fans, its history, how it's like to see football, where it's been in its history, tops, won the FA Cup, you know, all these things, and implemented a footballing philosophy which the fans want to see. It's as simple as that. It's not you know, Slade implements his philosophy. To me, it's just total alien.
I think the club are implementing their philosophy on Slade via this cost cutting, and they're saying, you know, you in your column you made a good comparison, which I think for Cardiff next season, and that's Bournemouth this season. I think that is what they kind of like in their wild daydreams down there. If they think whoever's Slade, if they imagine next season, it's like Bournemouth's, because there, exactly as you said, you've got a load of guys. I told you when I went to see the Bournemouth game, I was like, God, I remember him. Wasn't he at so-and-so?
Yeah,
he was at some.
Well, that's what they said.
And they want that. You've got your Peltiers and your this
What's
and
Bournemouth got that we haven't got?
Eddie Howe.
No. What has Bournemouth, the team, what has it got that we haven't got?
What? Spirit, team spirit, unity.
Pace.
All right, okay, let's not go into like individual elements. I'm just speaking generally. I'm saying that is what they would like.
Is that being able to pace and play on a counter-attack system?
Let's not forget, he's got the summer
got Bournemouth up to where they are.
No, I take your point, but you are right. When they appointed Slade, Tan actually said that they were basically getting a guy who could get them the most and more out of the sum of the parts, basically.
Right, okay, yeah. Okay, I don't remember that, but that, I mean, you say it in your column, I think you're completely right. That is their little daydream. That is in their idle mode. Slade's lying in a hammock in the summer, you know, drinking a pina colada on holiday. I bet he thinks, you know when you have that, you're just asleep, but not, you're awake.
A bit of dribble.
Yeah, and he's just dribbling.
Some comments from John W. Fans have always been fickle. They would come back if we start winning again and have a chance to go up, hopefully next season. Most fans couldn't care less about the philosophy issue. They want wins and success, and if this happens playing crap football, not just say crap, who cares? Sorry, Blakey, he says.
Yeah, but you know, he's entitled to his own opinion, yeah? The problem, what he doesn't understand is that without the philosophy, this is what you get. You get an up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah, you look at someone like Arsenal. Prior to Arsene Wenger, their philosophy was built on defence, boring Arsenal, 1-0, a few individual brilliant players. Now, they have totally overturned. It takes years, whether he likes it or not, yeah. I've played for clubs where what the philosophy is implemented in the club, you have to play a certain way. He might not like it, he might disagree with it, but I'm telling you, if you want the long-term success of your club to be successful, then, you know, this ain't the way to go about it. You know, it's not just as simple as winning games. If that was the case, then Barcelona rip up the philosophy they have. You know, Real Madrid, their philosophy is slightly different to Barcelona's. You know, Man United, rip it up. Arsenal, rip it up. All these great clubs, Bayern Munich, you know, all have a philosophy implemented, hence why they've become so successful. So he can talk about, you know, it's just about winning games. If that's your opinion, you're entitled to it. I just don't agree with it.
Okay, very good. More comments saying the prices for tickets, particularly on walk-up prices, are astronomical on the day, particularly given the rubbish. Football, Roy saying, I must be honest, I've never left a game at half-time in my life, but I did on Saturday. So he now has.
Right, they won 2-0, by the way.
It was a hard watch.
Tom says, how can you expect a crowd to show any passion when people like Whittingham can't even be bothered to celebrate a goal?
Yeah, someone was on about that in the office earlier. He's always been like that, though, Whittingham. Crikey, he scored that. Remember the Middlesbrough FA Cup quarter-final, that absolutely fantastic one, and then he just sort of stood like, and everyone mobbed. I wouldn't worry about that. I thought that there is a bit more passion down, and I said it last week after Ravel's Brentford goal, and Fabio was going absolutely ballistic. I mean, I'm not sure that's a major problem. I think maybe there's a confidence problem. But I don't think there's to me, it doesn't look like there's a passion or a lack of interest. There's an incompetence problem at times, but that's a different thing, I think.
Explain that.
Well, they're not playing well, are they, at times? There's as a unit or, as individuals, there's people been underperforming, I think, all season, and you can't get away from that. I mean, they're 13th or 14th, whatever they are. I can't read the
Nathan, how can you be disappointed with the size of the crowd? It's obviously, what was it in the column? There were a couple of egg-chasing games on the telly. Some fans have had enough of the rubbish we've been playing since Slade and Young have been running the team. Yes, we played better on Saturday, but it's too little, too late, which is a phrase.
Well, that's the problem, is it, in a way?
The floating supporters, this key is the floating supporters. They're the people we're talking about largely, aren't we?
Oh, crikey, yeah.
They've had enough by the looks of it, and next season will be the same if these two are still there, he says.
I was disappointed because, 2 years ago you had a full stadium, 25,000 bouncing.
So,
but when I say I'm disappointed, if you listen to what I'm saying, I'm not saying I'm disappointed they should go back. I totally understand why, whatever you want to call them, egg chasers or prawn sandwich brigaders or whatever you want to say. Whatever you want to say. At the end of the day, I understand their position basically, and I can't knock them for not going then. Put it that way. I actually think, you've probably held out a lot longer than someone like myself would have. I would have turned away a while ago. So
let's be happy as well in that the core support is now 12, 13,000. It used to be like 2,500, so maybe there's some progress going on there. But I can thoroughly understand why nobody wants to go down there because it's terrible to watch, and as you say, it's virtually almost meaningless.
This is after a win.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is what I mean. Poor old Russell Slade. He must just wonder what's wrong with these.
What's he got to do?
What's wrong with these people in Cardiff?
I don't know. I just think, as I said, I think he was starting from such a sort of like, come on then, impress me kind of thing.
That's not his fault. That's snobbery,
No. But yeah, okay, that's snobbery. But I mean, it was sort of like, all right, come on then, you're from Leyton Orient. You're an old PE teacher. That sort of bad attitude, and impress me. And he hasn't impressed enough. It's quite that simple. He hasn't. Not in the style of football or results. Have they been good enough? And so therefore, you can't be shocked that people are coming on here and people we meet outside saying, like, guys saying like, they're winning now. They're winning. They're saying, I get rid of him now. I get rid of him tomorrow. When I get another guy in, so he got the last few games to have a look. You'd be amazed how many fans there are out there who are like that. Loads. Now, not nutcase fans. I mean, just normal kind of like long-term supporters, season ticket holders and all that. There's that attitudes out there. In fact, there's more of that than bumping into someone going, God, isn't he doing a great job, Slade? I think he's marvellous. I hope he continues for the next 5 years. Right, in fact, there's none of them I've seen.
I've not met anyone.
I haven't met anyone who said that to me. He's gone, oh yeah, give him time. Might get the odd.
I've heard one person say that.
Terry. Anyway, come on. Let's move on from the issue.
He's doing his own gags now as well. Hey, Dolly, it's my job. Come on. Stepping on everyone's toes.
I know. Boom, boom.
Be answering his own questions.
Let's talk about strikers then. There's quite a few of them to talk about, a few little issues. Let's start with Pete's comment saying, why do we persist with Kenwyne Jones? You can usually tell whether he's up for it 10 minutes into the game. You got a point on that. You had a point. He played in a slightly odd position.
Well, this is essentially an idea. I would say Blakey's more.
You stole it off Blakey?
Yes, I stole that idea off Blakey because Blakey's more. I mean, it's just we were both talking about it really. How Kenwyne would seem to be more suited for playing the more advanced role, and and with Ravel playing maybe a bit more withdrawn, or Doyle even more suited probably to play in a freer role tucked in behind. But for some reason,
it's killing
Slade does it the other way around. So that you said it right when you said every limitation of Ken Wynn's game is exposed even more by playing him there. Almost as if you want to say, look, honestly, he is rubbish. Have a look at him. He can't run. Whereas you prefer to see him terrorising centre halves.
Go up, occupy the 2 centre halves.
What's the thinking behind it?
I haven't got a Scooby-Doo. Yeah, and that's my point. I would say, you know what you get from Ken Wynn, you know what he is. He's a battering ram. Yeah, he's going to batter people. He's going to make 2 centre-halves' life a misery. No matter who they are in this league, there's no centre-halves who are going to enjoy playing up against him, right? And he will, because of his size and his stature, occupy 2. 2 defenders are going to be, right, make sure, one in front, one behind, or one on the side, one behind. They will be, conferring all through the game. He will keep them occupied. So the likes of Ravel or Doyle or whoever, I say, well, they got better movement. Doyle, smaller, can get in pockets, turn, quite sharp on the ball. You can play both sides of him. You can play deeper than him, and you can play for the flick on and in behind him. So, the position he's playing, he's not challenging for the ball, the headers, and he's always involved in the play, the defending, the closing down. And I just think to myself, if ever you wanted to put a player somewhere to expose what he can do, this is it. And I've seen him play this position now 3 or 4 times when he's played. I just don't get it. Other than trying to expose his inadequacies, I don't understand why you would put him
this
there.
game he wasn't actually meant to be playing, was he? It was
no, McCade got injured in the warm-up.
It's almost like pull him away from goal scoring. Do you know what I mean? He's going to be so tired that he's not going to get into goal scoring positions.
Should have scored, by the way.
So I'll play Ravel up higher or whoever, and they're my signings. They'll get the goals. It's I don't know what the way of thinking is, but for me, it's so obvious that you just don't play him in that position.
Let's be obvious again. I mean, that's another thing we have to say about Slade.
And then fans will then jump on that. I don't know. Ask the fans if they think what I'm saying is right, because I don't. I just don't get it.
That's another thing with Slade, though, isn't it? I mean, if we're on the critical front again, but sorry to be critical, but like we spoke about the other week, the partnerships, and it's still nothing seems. It was like, I know there were injuries, but it was almost like, I'll put him in there and him. There's no strike force to speak of. It's just, you go to every game. Most teams were banging in goals. You go in, Sutton, you have your, so-and-so and so. They're there. Kids are in the playground. They're playing as them, your
20 goal season.
Yeah, they are. They're together. The two apart, maybe big man, little man, whatever. Cardiff, you go and go, it's Ravel this week. He's in for, and McCade's in, it's Jones this week, and it's like, it's something unsatisfactory about it. It doesn't seem, if it was working, it wouldn't be unsatisfactory. It's not working, so it's unsatisfactory.
Well, you say it's not working, but they've had good, take the last 5 games, their results have been good.
I'm waiting for him to zip and Russell Slade to
step arguing. He's arguing with me now.
Owen Doyle come on and scored a goal. McCade, before being injured, and people were raising, why is he playing? Scored 3 and 3. Ravel scored a wonder goal the other day. He's a genius.
Maybe
he's
a tactical genius. I just think. I mean, he himself has spoken about these partnerships, and I just think for whatever reasons, it's never really happened for him. And let's face it. Where they are in the league tells its own story.
What about Owen Doyle? And if Russell Slade is a League One manager and no more, is Owen Doyle capable of being more than a League One player from what you've seen?
I thought Blakey said an excellent point, which fascinated me because I think it was true when you said in the column about the step up from League One to Championship being a bigger step up than Championship to Premier League. That's
I think if you're in the top 5 or 6, I think the likes of Burnley, Leicester, QPR, obviously it looks like all 3 of them are going to come down this year. But you've got strikers at both Burnley and QPR who have been able to step up to the the qualities of the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? And I think they'll be the same at the likes of Middlesbrough, Derby, Norwich. I think they'll have strikers. Bournemouth. I don't think they'll go out. I think Leicester were the only ones who went and spent big money on a striker. I don't think they'll go out and spend big money on strikers because I think, there's not the call to get 20 goals in the Premiership. If you can get 10 as a striker in a relegated team, you've done very well. If you can get 15, you've done very, very, very well in the Premier League, just as a striker. Do you know what I mean? So I think the top 6 or 7 clubs in the Championship, I think most strikers back themselves to get 10 goals in a season, regardless of whether it's in the Premier League or Championship. Otherwise, I don't think you'd be good enough to play for a top Championship club to allow yourself to get in a Premiership. But I don't think there's that same mentality for a League One player stepping into the Championship, because I think in League One, I didn't spend a lot of time in League One. I only spent the season we got promoted with Cardiff. It was the old second division, I think it was there. I only spent the 7 months before I went off to Sheffield, but there's not they don't have, for me, the all-round game that a top Championship striker will have. I think the top Championship striker will easily, or it'll be easier to adapt to Premier League football than it is for a League One striker to adapt to the Championship. That's just my feeling.
That doesn't bode well for him.
No,
but you're a fan.
But I am a fan. I think he's a nice little player. I think he's quite intelligent. He gets into good pockets. Hence why I was saying I think he'd be like a perfect foil for someone like Kenwyne Jones. You don't want him up against the two galoots play on the shoulder, but with Kenwyne up alongside you, or you play deeper, give people a problem all the time. He's clearly one of these people who, he's got a good engine, can keep going. His technical ability seems quite good. His tactical nous seems quite good. So I just felt, just because he hadn't scored for 7 or 8 games, I just felt, stick with it, and you'll hit 1, you'll hit 6 or 7 hopefully. Do you know what I mean? It tends to happen like that with strikers. But the longer, especially when you sign for a club, the longer you go without scoring, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. In your own mind, forget what the press is saying. Probably press weren't on him for not scoring in 7.
Well, it wasn't outrageous. Games. I think it was 8 appearances. I think half of them were from the bench. So it wasn't
so
as
the
if
press weren't on
15
him.
games.
But in his own mind, he'd be thinking, right, that's what you want to do. As soon as you join a new club, as soon as you start the season, whether it's you're at the club for 5 years, right, you want to get off the mat quickly as possible. And the longer it goes, the more it plays on you emotionally.
Well, hopefully this is a good, like you say, a goal that might kick-start him. I mean, we don't know the extent of injuries, obviously, to Makeda and Ravel, but
stepping up to the Championship is a big ask. What I'm trying to say in the column is, don't forget that. He's 27.
Well, that's the funniest thing.
He's not a young lad.
Yeah, he's 27.
So he's got the experience of League One. He's been down there a long time, and no one's really taken a chance on him before. So here's his opportunity. It's come late in the day, but be patient with him.
Okay. I mean, just to put him into some kind of perspective, I've written this a lot over the weekend, but he's still the top scorer in League One. He's been at Cardiff 2 months. He's still got more goals. So, I mean, all you will say is that, talking about step up from League One to Championship, crikey, by League One standards, we're not talking an average guy. We're talking like a real hot shot at that level. So hopefully that will have some bearing on his ability to adapt to the Championship.
And a lot of it sucks. It boils down to mentality. Like I said, you go 7 or 8 games without scoring, it starts to play on your mind. Then you're not in the team. Then you're not getting the chances. Then it's kind of a snowball effect. But mentally, you've got to be able to just do away with it. Yeah. I had it once in my career. I won't tell you when, where, why, how, where, but
you're not answering any questions.
You do need there is a way of, I suppose, mentally preparing yourself and getting over the fact that you're not scoring.
Yeah. But I mean, Blakey, do you think, from what you've seen so far, do you think he can I think
he can.
next season, for example, he could be helping up there as part of it, like
I think he can.
I think he can.
I think he can. Yeah, I think he's got the attributes to do it. It's, you know, I don't know the boy personally, so like I said, the attributes are there, but you know, I could reel off 100 players who had all the attributes and never made a professional. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, okay. Well, this from Mike saying I'd like to see a future with us using mobile strikers like Doyle, with either Mason or McElhenney as a number 10, similar to what Wilson and Pittman do at Bournemouth. He says few little ripples of excitement about Joe Mason's return. Obviously he's back with the club from his loan spell. He had that horrible injury. He's due to play for the development team, or has played for the development team.
I think he already has
in
played
the last couple of days.
Yes.
He was a player you always liked.
I always liked Joe. I love intelligent players. I love him.
It's what you've been missing, is that?
That, you know, and I say, like, Cardiff miss pace, drive and strength in the central positions, and they miss that blistering pace out wide and that striker with a, you know, blistering pace. So if you haven't got that, then you revert to the guy whose speed of thought makes him quicker than other players. Do you know what I mean? So Peter Beardsley, he wasn't quick. He was a scurrier. He wasn't quick, but his intelligence level made him like 3 steps ahead of people. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And watching Joe, I've always felt like Joe, he runs like heel to toe. He's a loper. He like runs really heavy, doesn't he? But he's intelligent. He's really intelligent. That's why I like him.
Okay, good to see him featuring.
It'd be great to see him
off the bench or something.
Another Joe getting a few mentions, and this from Danny saying, build the team around Joe Rowles, Matt Kennedy and Bruno Manga. We must hold on to these three.
I think I wrote that one of the biggest statements of intent.
Every time he's played, Rowles has made it.
Rowles has been played. I mean, talking about Manga, that would be a big one if they could hold on to him. I don't think they. I fear they won't, but that would be a statement of intent. Rowles is coming through brilliantly. I made him man of the match against Birmingham. I thought he had a great game, and he, you know, talking about central midfield, the problem there with Gunnarsson and Whittingham, I just thought Rowles, the performance he showed recently, particularly in the middle there, he owns that shirt for me now. I think he showed enough there to own that shirt for the rest of the season there. Own that shirt. I just thought he was great. You know, so many times I was watching the highlights.
On the left or more central?
More central for me. I think that's what he wants to play. Yeah, but he also moved inside for a time as well.
Well, they're playing Rowles is not a winger. I think what's his name? Nuninho gives him the width. I think Rowles does play inside. He's more of an inside left, old school.
Well, he said himself afterwards he likes to play in the middle, but he'll play anywhere. But I just think he's a big promise. I think
he was good Saturday.
If he can keep developing well.
I remember the one pass he played like on a half volley outside of the foot.
Yeah.
I think it was second half. Bent it like centrally out over to the right.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah, mate, it just stuck in my head, and I thought that was precision. Really.
So
good.
there are some positives.
John, you're saying I thought Fabio was awesome as well. I know didn't you get slated for your rating of Fabio?
Oh yeah. Well, apparently I got told off by people. Like I got various angry tweets.
I thought it was quality, Fabio.
What did you give him then?
A 5.
I should have given him a 6.
What sort of comments?
Dolly, the amount of words I can remember individuals. I just had a few irate tweets from my fans. I had a few of my fans getting to it. That's all I'll say.
Can't win, can you?
A few of my fans. But yes. Well, okay. Fabio, yes. I don't know. Not sure he'll be there next season either.
All right, time running out. A couple more issues. One that made us choke on our sandwiches the other day. Matt Connolly sat there and suddenly just pops up on the computer. Matt Connolly joined Watford. What did you make of that one? He was doing really well. I think we had a slightly dodgy game, I think, before he left.
Was he going away to get more time on the pitch? Was he?
I've always liked him. I've always liked him.
Business decision described as.
Well, I don't like the sound of that. What does that? I mean, how much do you pay Matt Connolly? What's he on?
Does that mean basically that Watford were desperate, wanted him, said we'll give you a bit of a loan fee, and Cardiff had the attitude, well, we like him, he's useful, but we're not getting relegated, we're not getting promoted, so let's just have a bit of cash.
You can only guess so, and I presume as well he wanted to go as well. The player obviously wanted to go.
I think he's from Barnet, which is...
Yeah, he's been messed about a bit at Cardiff as well.
Well, also, his time at Cardiff, I mean, he could, he's not the type, he's so professional, he's not the type to actually display any kind of feeling aggrieved.
I've always liked him. I thought he was, I thought he was like a a ready-made, captain in waiting sort of thing after Hudson went.
Still got 2 years on his deal, and he'll be back at the end of the season.
The thing is, when you know your club don't want you, this is the problem. When you're a footballer and you know that the club doesn't want you, it's like, you're just treading waters no matter what you do. The guy won the championship with us. Playing
this would be his
very,
fifth
very
key
well.
component.
Would this be his fifth promotion?
Yeah,
is that right?
And then,
5?
yeah, and then was one of the first people who was, ousted in the Premier League season. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just think he's always been 100%. I've never really seen him have a poor game. He's always played 9 times out of 10. He's played out of position, and he never seemed to, he just gets on with his job. He's just a good, solid pro.
Getting to the point with Cardiff where the people leaving and their reasons are more interesting than the people arriving. It's like really weird. Like like if you look at Brayford to Sheffield United, you think well, what's he up to? And
people asking about
Lafondra, what's Connolly? It's more fascinating. The people who are you say rats deserting a sinking ship. No, you can't say that. But it's just interesting. It's just interesting. But
I was a very interesting signing because like a business decision. That could mean anything, can't it? Really, I mean, read into that what you want.
Love to see them hold on to Manga though, because he's just been pure class for ages. But
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know what the summer will bring.
Indeed. Final few minutes then. Obviously, no Cardiff this week. International break.
Wales playing.
The biggest Wales game in a generation.
Everyone says that all the time. Biggest Wales game.
Biggest Wales game since the last one.
Since the last one.
Since Russia. I think Chris Coleman described it.
Was it?
That probably.
Don't remind me of Russia.
It's a big game. Gareth Bale, obviously, centre of attention. What have you made of what's happened there? Obviously, Real Madrid been getting a lot of stick off fans. Came to a right old rumpus last night. His car was attacked as he was driving. When I say attacked, it was not with bricks or bats or anything, but just a guy banging.
Can you imagine if the Real Madrid fans had to have a holiday supporting Cardiff City?
It was a couple of fans, yeah.
Kicking cars.
Out of probably about 10 million.
It's going to cost him a fortune to get his course.
Can't keep everyone happy, can
anyway,
you?
part of that, but one newspaper didn't even give him a mark. Never mind, took us 5 for poor old Fabio. Gareth Bale didn't get anything. Didn't get a snip. He's obviously there was a big feature on him in another Spanish paper the other day about how they thought they bought a Ferrari and they ended up with a bicycle. That sort of.
I don't think that's
really
fair.
Well
I don't think that's fair. Champions League, he was brilliant. Champions League.
I was going to say they should have a break for supporting. All Real Madrid fans should have a secondment. Can you imagine how many? They'd be smashing up every Allegro in the car park, wouldn't they? Crikey, It
is what it is. You just comes with the territory.
If you watch him play, though, I mean, if you watch the Champions League,
I've seen him.
He was poor in that Champions League game. He looked like.
Do you want my advice to Gareth would be?
Get out with it.
No.
Join Cardiff City.
No. Playing wise, what he stopped doing is what he's best at. If you notice, when was the last time you seen Bale get it and just drive past someone,
knock it past someone,
and just burn them?
It's confidence, that.
No. It's what I think. What's happened is he's got sucked into the Galactico. Got to show a bit of a trick, a bit of a, And Gareth, as skilled as he is, he's not like a Giggsy kind of sidewinder, can turn on a sixpence, blah, 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 blah. Gareth is a power, pace, just knock it outside you and gone, mate. And there's nothing you can do about it. And I think if he brings that back to his game and does that 3 or 4 times in each half, off the back of that, if he gives the ball away once or twice, the fans allow it, because they're waiting for you to get it and drive again. And I think I haven't seen him do that for a while. So if I was advising him, or if I was his agent or anything like that, or his mum, his dad, I'd say to him, look, just to regain your confidence, regain, the fan sort of trust sort of thing, just go back to doing that. Do that. Think to yourself, I want to do that at least 5 times in a match now. I want to just totally expose my fullback for pace, power, get past him. And I guarantee you, if he does that 10 times in the next 2 matches, he'll create at least 3 goals.
Well, he's always immense for Wales. I mean, did you ever have your own fans turn on you at any point during?
Yeah, once or twice. Well,
Who
I remember when I took that poster of you down, I was so disappointed. Above my bed, I said.
we were at Blackburn at the time, and we were expected to get promotion. We had a shocking season, and I remember playing away to someone, and myself and my mate Ashley Ward. I think we could have been there now. We wouldn't have scored. We just, it was ridiculous. Rebounds coming back, hitting it, and then someone clear off the line, scraping the post, scoring. Just between bad finishing and bad luck, and it just wasn't happening. And I just remember after the game, we were waiting for Wardy's dad was giving us a lift, and a couple of Blackburn fans gave us abuse, but. Wardy was like...
Didn't scratch your capri, did you?
No. Wardy was me and Wardy just shrugged our shoulders, whatever. And I think Ash was like, you know what? If they stop the car, I swear to God. I was like, just leave.
They weren't going to stop any car.
But it happens. It happens. It happens.
You feeling confident about Wales though? I mean, it's...
I do. And you know what I like is Burnley coming back. Vokes. I think that could be just the icing on the cake. I think if that's what they say, is if we have him up...
That's what we've been...
As a number 9. Because I've said I think Wales can win the group.
He started for Burnley, hasn't he?
I really do. I think Wales can win the group. And I think if he's up as a number 9 now, and you got Bale and Ramsey... what's his name at Liverpool? Allen. You've got the not even a nucleus. You've got a good side now. You've got a lot of players playing Premier League football, and I can see goals in our team. I can see us keeping at least 2 more clean sheets, 3 clean sheets.
Who's at left back? Neil Taylor has been fantastic for Swansea recently. Absolutely the form of his life.
I play Williams and Davis alongside each other, maybe at the back. I just think if everyone's fit, I don't see why if you said, give me a reason why we can't win it, then that's what I'd say.
They've got a stronger team as they've had in years.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Because you're searching around for the real weak elements.
What people tend to do, and us as Brits, I suppose, is look at the history and then go, but we can't. But I always think, well, history's there to be rewritten in it. So, I don't see any reason why we can't.
People said Cardiff City would never make the Premier League.
And I don't see why we can't win it. I just don't see.
Here's a point to finish on.
Okay.
Maybe a bit of positivity for Cardiff fans. There was a time not so long ago that pretty much 99% of fans and certain pundits wanted Chris Cornwell out of the door, get somebody in. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's useless. There's no direction to this team. There's no spirit to this team. Now you can see the direction, the style of play, the commitment, the spirit. He's managed to turn it around. What can Russell Slade learn from that? How is he? He's done what Russell Slade needs to do. He's got the fans back.
Win the games. That's how you get the fans back.
I think the difference between the two, I think I explained a few weeks ago, was where we said when Russell took over, you've got to give him time, but by January, February, March, you should start to see where we're going, and like you said, he cut his squad, and these are my players, and the partnerships developing, and blah 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 blah. So I think now the players, the fans were expecting to see some sort of direction in that, and I don't think there is at the moment. I don't think he's really made up his mind on who's who, where certain personnel are going to play, who's his favourite. Centre-back partnership, let alone centre-mid, we all know. It's Gunnarsson and Whittingham, and I think that is probably the partnership most people would like to see broken up, if anything. But that seems to be the one partnership that survives, and your front two, your back centre-backs, your front two, your full-backs, everything, they all change. But that heart of your midfield is the one place I haven't.
Start Rowell's in there now,
So,
no excuse.
I would say the difference between the two is that, over a period, and it's more difficult for international managers, obviously, because you haven't got back-to-back games.
But isn't it a little bit easier in that the team picks itself, the Wales team? I mean, I could name probably.
Well, no, it's more difficult because you don't know who's going to turn up fit. And
I mean, barring, like catastrophic injuries, but within reason, it sort of just names itself.
No, I don't think it does, because you didn't have a striker, did you? Well, you had strikers, but you didn't have. I think you've got boats now.
When was the last time you saw the players? When was it? Back in November? Was it the last?
I don't think it's. I think I'd actually go the opposite. I think it's more difficult.
You go from the opposite of what I said.
No, I don't think it's easier. I think what people are failing to. I think people aren't failing. I think what you see now is credit where credit is due. And I think a lot of people said to me, you're just not saying it because you're his mate. You played with him and all that. And I'm like, well, no, you've got to give people time. You have to give people time. Russell Slade, I say it all the time, got to give him time. If after 12 months, 18 months...
if next week he hasn't...
If after 18 months you're not seeing no improvement, maybe I was a bit hasty in thinking, from October to February, March, 6 months is long enough to start to see change developing. Maybe that was too soon. Maybe we do need to wait until the summer and the transfer window and then look into next season. But, club management, you don't kind of get that time. So, I think the difference between the two is that Cookie has proved his doubters and his critics wrong, because you have got direction. You do know how they're going to play. They are fully committed to the cause. They are winning games. They are playing good football as well. Going to Belgium, picking up results. You've got to say you can only listen. I take no satisfaction in saying, I wouldn't say I was right, you were wrong, anything. It's just it could have all gone pear-shaped. It could have done, but that's what I say. Football. It's instantaneous. You just don't know. You know what I mean? We don't know whether Russell Slade next season could be manager of the month for 6 months back to back. And still people would probably say get him out.
So,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure
but
they would.
They might be top of the table. They could be mid-table. We just don't know. You have to give him the opportunity to fail or succeed.
That's why it's all so exciting.
That's why we love football, mate. That's why I say no video evidence. Leave it.
Oh, that's another show. Yeah. We'll leave that.
It is. But I noticed after the weekend, managers starting to call for it, and I'm like, this game of imperfections is what makes our game so perfect. Just leave it.
Indeed, much like the boot room. Okay.
Sadly, there's video evidence every week of this.
Indeed.
Debacle. But, well, I'm glad you didn't row with me this week and you agreed with everything.
We saved that for later.
Oh, indeed. Goodness, sounds dodgy.
Over the brandy, by the fire gov.
I say, dear old Nathan. Jolly good show. There's a whole... Hey, I tell you what, there's a whole sitcom. I tell you what, when we get rid of this, we'll be on our way, all the way.
John Slade.
So we can dump him.
John Slade.
Old Uncle Russell.
We get rid of him.
Yeah, there we go. Cool. All right, good stuff. Thanks, chaps. Thank you for joining us as always. Thanks for all your comments. Enjoy the international break. At least you won't have to watch Cardiff City. And we'll see you next time.